Sudanese victims, backed by rights groups, filed a criminal complaint against the bank. BNP Paribas was considered the de facto central bank of the regime despite international sanctions. For more on this story, we can go across to correspondent Mukwele Sachuwayo. Good evening. Thank you very much for speaking to us. What exactly is BNP accused of doing in Sudan and in Darfur in particular?
Well, the 9 Sudanese victims accuse BNP Paribas of complicity in crimes against humanity, torture, and genocide that took place in Sudan. They say the bank basically enabled the Sudanese government by financing it to carry on with its crimes in Darfur. Now, as you said, between 2002 and 2008, it was considered to be Sudan's de facto central bank. Now, during this period, the government, through its military security forces and the Janjaweed militia, committed widespread human rights violations, which amount to international crimes. These violations targeted Sudanese citizens from non-Arab tribes. The bank enabled the regime at a time when it was under international sanctions because of these crimes it was committing in Darfur. And so by granting the Sudanese regime access to the international money markets, it allowed the government to function in terms of being able to pay its staff and fund its military and security forces.
How significant is this investigation to the region?
Well, according to the International Federation for Human Rights, this investigation marks the first step to hold the French bank criminally responsible for its complicity in the international crimes committed in Sudan and in Darfur in particular. The International Criminal Court is already investigating allegations of genocide, war crimes, and crimes against humanity committed in Sudan since 2002. And even though several arrest warrants have been issued, none have been executed. So it means to date that the extensive human rights committed have gone unpunished. And so the victims feel that this case marks the first step in attaining justice. It's important to note also that the bank did admit to acting as Sudan's foreign bank between 2002 and 2008. In a case that it admitted this in a case in the United States because it was dealing with countries such as Iran and Cuba, which were on the American sanctions list. So in this case, the bank had to pay $8.9 billion in July of 2014. Sadly, the Sudanese victims did not receive any compensation because the U.S. Congress divided the money and gave it to domestic victims of terrorist attacks.
And who are these 9 victims who have brought this case forward?
Well, one of them, Hawa Sali, who is a human rights activist, was kidnapped. She witnessed 100 members of her family executed. She was shot. Eventually, she managed to escape and spent 8 years in a displacement camp. The other 7 also suffered horrendous human rights violations. And so the International Federation for Human Rights is expecting more victims to come forward and be part of this civil case.
Mukwele Sachuwayo, thank you very much for that update.